first up, we're going to be looking at the Tottenham competition predictions and see what we predicted at the beginning of the season. So let's get into that. And in terms of where we predicted Spurs to finish in the Premier League, Sim predicted 4th. I predicted 3rd.
17th.
We ended up finished 17th.
Yeah, it wasn't.
That is so muddy, man.
Oh, that's terrible. I know, look, to be fair, I don't think anyone would have predicted in anywhere close to 17th before the season. So I don't think we're the only ones. But yeah, 4th and 3rd is. Yeah, I think we have to gloss over that one. We just got it very, very wrong. Very, very wrong. Shocking.
Now the big one. What did we predict for Europa League, for Tottenham's Europa League campaign last season? Let's have a look at this. So Sim predicted Spurs to lose in the final, and I predicted Spurs to lose in the semi-final.
Should have said winners. Should have just gone all the way. Look, when it gets to the finals, 50-50, isn't it? But finally, predicted us to go a long way. I was confident in the competition, but I just...
Not confident enough.
Not confident enough. Should have put my balls on the table and said winners. But look, I'm all right. Final prediction is not a bad prediction.
Semi-final, I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy with that at all. If only I knew we were going to get Bodo in a semi-final. FA Cup, we obviously got to the 4th round. Sim predicted 5th round. Not too bad.
Not too bad. 1 round out.
And I predicted quarter-final. Obviously didn't envisage the injury crisis.
Yeah. Obviously went out to Aston Villa. It's unfortunate. Beat Tamworth famously. Wasn't the best game, that one. But yeah, 4th round. Not bad prediction for me.
Yeah. Just one off every time you are. See,
apart from the Premier League.
Well, when you said 4th, you meant 4th bottom, didn't you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, come on, 4th bottom. Should have clarified my position.
And finally, the Carabao Cup. We got to the semi-final, obviously. And Sim said semi-final.
Look at that.
I said winner. I said we'd win the Carabao. So I knew we were bringing home a trophy this season at some point, some way.
So forget the league prediction, and I'm not doing too bad here. I'm not doing too bad.
I'm happy that I said winner to something. I knew Ange was going to bring a trophy in his second year.
You know we win a cup.
I knew Ange was going to bring a trophy in his second year.
Yeah, true. I didn't predict any winners, you're right. But my cup predictions are not bad overall.
Yeah, 1 out every time. Apart from
semis.
Yeah,
got it right.
Apart from the Carabao Cup. Not bad at all.
Not bad.
Next up, we're going to go to the player predictions for Spurs and see what we predicted at the beginning of the season. So first of all was player of the season. Bergvall won it. And we predicted Romero. We both predicted Romero to get our player of the season.
Well, he won the Europa player of the season, so it's not a terrible
but he
prediction.
was not Spurs' player of the season this year.
No, but it's not a terrible prediction. He won the whole Europa player of the season, so you can say he had a pretty good season there.
Yeah, but he did not have a good Premier League campaign.
Didn't have a great Premier League campaign when he in the beginning, but I think overall, obviously, captained us in the final. Had a brilliant knockout stage of the Europa League, and ended the season as the whole Europa League player of the season. So to say he was going to be our player of the season isn't the worst prediction in the world, but obviously the first half of the season before his injury wasn't great, was he? I think we can definitely say that.
Yeah.
And making a lot of mistakes, but look, we all want him to stay, don't we, for a reason? Because we saw what he can do.
Yeah. Young player of the season prediction. So Bergvall won it, and we both predicted Bergvall. I think this was off the back of pre-season. We saw how special he was in pre-season.
Yeah.
And yeah, look, he took a bit of a while to get to grips with it at the beginning of the season, and but he's unbelievable. What a player we have on our hands with Lucas Bergvall, and to show that he won player of the season for Tottenham in his first season. It's just unbelievable. And yeah, young player of the season prediction, bang on.
Yeah, and what a first season for him. Yes, it took him a few months to get adjusted to the Premier League and get adjusted to that level, but once he did, he flew. He really did. He was setting the pitch alight in so many games. I'm just so looking forward to having that Bergvall from the beginning of next season and moving forward there, because I think it's going to be a delight, and I'm just so excited about how he progresses. But fair play to Bergvall. Brilliant first season for him, and he really lived up to the hype. One of the few players who does that.
Yeah. Surprise package of the season. Sim went for Bentancur. I went for Mikey Moore. Who was our surprise package of this? It's probably Bergvall.
Probably Bergvall, or I'm trying to think. Who would you say is Spence? Probably.
Spence.
Yeah, Spence you'd probably have to say is our surprise package of the season.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
In terms of a player beginning, I know he had a decent pre-season, but the way he came on was brilliant. I'm trying to remember why I justified Bentancur at the beginning of the season, but obviously last season wasn't great for him, coming back from injury. This season, been very stop-start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Got the ban, got the head injuries, so was difficult for him. But I think, to be fair, second half, especially in Europa, he was brilliant. Premier League, probably, again, hit and miss. But in the Europa League, for sure, he was fantastic.
It was
in
the last
run-in.
3 rounds, wasn't it? Frankfurt, Bodo, and in the final, he was brilliant.
Yeah, and I think against RZ as well, it was also pretty good. I think he was pretty good in that Europa League run.
But then you look at the 2 games we went out to in the Cup, I thought he was dreadful in those games.
It's true.
For me, Mikey Moore, I mean, everyone knows why I would have picked Mikey Moore, a young player coming through. And I think, look, for Mikey Moore, for what he is, 17-year-old kid coming from the academy, I think he had a really good season.
Yeah, agreed. I agree. I think for a 17-year-old, again, people, because they're so desperate for him to be the star, like, never seen before generational talent, like, whenever he has a bad game or whatever, people, like, hone in on that. But for a 17-year-old playing as much as he did, I think he played 15 games this season, scoring his first goal, had a few standout games as well. You can't ask for too much more from a 17-year-old, in my opinion. So fair play to Mikey Moore.
Yeah, the Europa League group stages for him were brilliant. They really were. Most improved player. Who did we go for most improved player?
Kulusevski. All right.
I went for Bentancur. So I think Bentancur probably did. Would you say? Yeah, he did improve on last season, Bentancur.
Yeah, probably. Definitely second half of the season.
Yeah,
he did.
And Kulusevski, I mean, first 10 games he was brilliant, but then never really saw him back to those heights after that.
I would say up until December. People forget that run just because we were bad as a team. He was dragging us through a lot of those games. Even though he wasn't maybe as good as he was earlier in the season, he was still literally dragging us. And then he did have about a month period. He was in pretty bad form, got injured, never really recovered from that injury. But I think in terms of the season before, massively improved.
Yeah, agreed. Who is actually our most improved player this season?
Our most improved player this
Probably
season.
Brennan Johnson.
Brennan, you could say, obviously his output's upped. And, you know, people say, I always say Brennan's improved. And people say, oh, apart from scoring more goals, what's he improved? It's like, what do you mean? That's him improving. That's him getting that position more often. That's him taking more chances, improving his finishing. Like, I don't know what people expect improvement to look like. That is him improving.
I think there's a few shouts. There's Brennan, there's Jed,
yeah.
Oro, potentially.
Has he improved?
Maddison,
you could say Maddison because last season I know he was injured for 3 months, but his output's much better this season. Wherever you want to slice him, much better. I think goals and assists is really good. Like he's getting
Madison.
a lot more.
I'd say Maddison's our most improved player this season.
Albeit again he has had games. Obviously that's quite. I think Kulusevski's still got a shout of most improved in terms of the player he was this season compared to last season, different position. I think most improved. I think Kulusevski's got a big shout as well, in my opinion.
So who are you going to go for?
I think I would go for Decky. I think I won that one. I think him or Maddison. Yeah, I'm not sure which one. Richie? No, not Richie. Why would he be there?
Nah.
No, Richie last season went on a great goal scoring run. They never really did that this season.
I think I'll go for Brennan Johnson. Brennan for his output. Big goals in big moments as well for Brennan. So, I'm going to go for Brennan Johnson for most improved. But let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Who has Spurs' most improved player been? Now we're going to be looking at who we picked for flop of the season. Let's see who we've got here. So
all right.
I've gone for Bissouma. Sim's gone for Werner.
Taking that again.
Both very much. I mean, Bissouma saved himself a little bit towards the end.
He ran to the final. He can't be a bigger flop than Werner.
No, he's not a bigger flop than Werner. I'm not saying he is, but if I would have said to you just before the semi-final who's been a flop of the season, you would say Werner, but Bissouma would have been in the conversation
he's in
as
the
well.
conversation. It's true. Yeah. But you got to remember as well, earlier in the season, I know he had that balloon gate, but actually he came back from that and was playing quite well for a time. I remember we were saying we were saying at the time anyway, he's learned from it, he's playing quite well. Maybe he scored that brilliant goal against Everton at the beginning.
Didn't last long though.
It wasn't like you're right. It wasn't like for a massive extended period, but there was a little run at the beginning of the season where he played well. But yeah, definitely during the midway point of the season and definitely around February, March time was performing terribly. Like we just couldn't get any sort of good performances out of him. But then obviously came back into it. Obviously late in the season in the Europa League run, a few half decent performances in the Premier League as well. Obviously sprinkled in with a few poor ones as well. I remember coming on against Villa, he wasn't great. The
reality is though, he lost trust in the manager.
And then gained it back.
Yeah, then gained it back in the semi-final.
And the final.
And had three big performances for us.
Yeah, and that's massive.
So look, Werner's definitely flop of the season. There's no doubt about it.
He's just been terrible the whole year. Can you remember one good game from him?
No. He didn't score a goal, did he, all season?
He did against City in the Cup.
Oh, that's the only goal.
Yeah, he did against City in the Cup. But after that, obviously, Ange hammered him away at Rangers, and we barely saw him after that. And Tamworth, and then we barely saw him.
Yeah.
And obviously wasn't included in the Europa League squad second half of the season.
Yeah, so Timo, we better not bloody sign him back again.
No, definitely not.
Best signing of the season, we both went for Solanke. Is Solanke our best signing of the season?
Probably Bergvall.
Albeit Bergvall we did sign
in January, if you call it that. Who else did we sign? Odeberg, Gray, Bergvall. Who else
Our
we
summer
signed?
business didn't really make an impact.
Obviously, we made this thing in the summer, so you don't include the likes of Dan, So and Tell and them lot, but Kinski. Probably is Solanke, to be honest, if we're not counting Bergvall.
If we are counting the winter transfers, does Danso win it?
I still think Solanke over
Still
Danso.
Solanke.
Yeah, I still think Solanke over Danso. Solanke, as much as his goal return in the Premier League alone, 9 goals, bit disappointing considering he got 19 for Bournemouth. Although, again, he had a big injury in January, which kept him out for 2 months. But still, you still expect a better goal return than 9. But I think overall, I would say more positive than negative from Solanke.
Yeah.
Pretty good start, like in terms of how he improves the team when he is playing. Obviously, we did expect more goal output for sure, maybe a bit more quality in front of goal. And maybe we hoped he'd make a bit more of a bigger impact for our attack, but he did make quite a decent impact. But yeah, I would still say he's been our best signing. But again, I think it's probably says more about our window than him himself.
Yeah, agreed. We definitely expected a lot more from Solanke this season.
But in all competitions, decent goal and assist, I think.
Yeah, not bad.
Europa
But
League.
I mean, you were making bets with Lee Judges at the beginning of the season about who's going to get more, him or Havertz, and they're similar. But when we saw him scoring 19 goals for Bournemouth last season, we were expecting a bigger output from that.
To not get 10 Premier League. Did he not get 10, I don't think?
He got 9.
He got 9, so that is very disappointing.
Yeah. In terms of top goal scorers, obviously we went for Solanke again. Brennan was our top goal scorer this season, so yeah.
How many did he get in the league? 11, I think.
Brennan?
Yeah, because he got 18 in all comps. So in the league, I think he was our top goal scorer on both, wasn't he? In the league, he got 11, 11 in the league, 5 in the Europa League. So fair play to him. Obviously, last season, he got a few goals, but it was more him getting assists. But this season, he really kind of honed in on that kind of output. So fair play to him. 18 goals, you can't really complain with that at this level. A winger who gets that level of output is worth sticking around. And I know people say all he does is score tap-ins and that lot, but that's a crucial part of the game. And those tap-ins got us the Europa League. That's how important it is. So fair play to Brennan. But yes, Solanke should be disappointed he didn't get it.
And last but not least, top assister, we both went for Sonny. Who was our top assister?
Who was?
Season?
Let me see.
I don't even know.
I think it might have been him, It was either him or Maddison. And we're going all competitions.
We'll do both and we'll see.
All competitions, it was Kulusevski and Son level. Him and Son were level. In the Premier League, it was Son. So not a bad prediction from us.
Come on, Sonny boy. And you lot say he's washed. He ain't never washed, Sonny. But in terms of predictions, not too bad. Not too bad at all.